Hello and welcome to FacChat, our chat with faculty at the Shrishti Manipal Institute of Art, Design and Technology. Today we have with us somebody who's really busy and was actually difficult to get her to sit down. Her name is Manjari Singh. Her area of practice is educational psychology and she has a doctorate in it. And so tell us how you bring those educational qualifications to what you do at Shrishti and your designation at Shrishti.
I guess when you look at educational psychology, it's a lot about what makes learning and teaching fun and interesting and meaningful. So ultimately, given what I'm doing in the middle of everything in Shrishti, that's what it's all about. How does the whole process of what we do when we've in studios and workshops and interim and everything else, how does it sort of all work together? So what's the frameworks we're using and how are things happening on the ground, and if things are not going so well, how are we sorting them out, and it's all those kinds of things. We're not the classic kind of place which has these classic examinations where you have a series of questions and you write a series of responses in 3 hours and you get it done. So in its own way, there's again the educational psychology of what works, because in an art and design college where you're responding to different contexts and you're doing things live and you're looking at creative works and each person thinks differently and does things, and how do you put that examination process in a way where it's something meaningful for a student. And we also as an institution come to know how are they doing, are they kind of learning things which are relevant for them, are they able to apply things. So it's nice, it's an interesting space.
Yeah, you're the first person we can talk to about this, because this is not a traditional place. We talk about facilitating learning, we talk about students being aspiring practitioners, and we talk about people who facilitated learning as being practitioners. So how does this all come together in the way we evaluate that learning and the exams? A little bit about how we structure our exams and why they are structured the way they are. It's quite unique to us, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's also a thing which is an integral part of art and design education, right? And art and design practice. Because the two need to come together. Art and design education is not something about being in college and just doing something here and then your life will begin outside, right? It's the real world comes in, you go out into the real world. It's a very lively, interactive space. And so even when you look at then this whole thing of how do you understand what your learning is and assess it, then we need to look at those frameworks which allow for this. So there has to be a space for a student to be able to individually express things, to have the space to be able to bring themselves into something and connect with that. So I think that's part of the interesting and dynamic process of how things have evolved in Shrishti, because at one point of time we didn't have any kind of this summative assessment and examinations and things like that. As we've looked into it in the last 5-7 years, we've looked into these, and I think they're meaningful places, of being able to take at a personal level for a student, and then for us as a college to say, okay, how are we doing? How are we able to understand? I think for us in the long run also is going to be a great space for us to look at how we keep looking at evolving this.
Okay, Shrishti has had its own sort of way of doing things. Now we merge with this much bigger educational conglomerate. Mm-hmm. What, according to you, is going to change, and how is this sort of merger going to work for students?
I think the key thing for us to keep in mind is that at Shrishti we are looking at having the autonomy to run our college the way we like, the kind of way we envision it being this space where a lot of creative work is happening, we are experimenting and trying different things on an everyday basis in our classes, in our assessments, in the way we frame things. So I think that space is us. As we go further, there are more things for us to try and explore and evaluate ourselves. We may also have to look at certain kinds of things which are larger frameworks on which we say, okay, we agree on certain things, where some will be distinct to us at Shrishti as this is how we do things, and some might be things that we align in certain ways with, okay, this is some of the other larger expectations, and we might need to look at where they marry.
Manjari, I mean this just by observing you. You're one of the busiest people in SMI that I know. You seem to be under a lot of pressure, and there are always students seeking you out, and I see you having these intense one-on-one conversations in various corners with various students who are stressed out about something or the other. So, and I don't mean that in any disparaging sense, but so what's the day in the life of Manjari Singh like?
I don't know, you all tell me. Sometimes chaotic and sometimes lots of meetings and connections and checking that we are doing what we're doing, and sometimes interspersed with these one-on-one quickly to check in to see things are okay. Things need to come together well on a bigger picture level, but then to me as a person, and I think to Shishti as a community, it needs to be something that a person feels connected and it's meaningful for you. To be honest, college is one part of a student's life, right? There are many other things that are going on, and they themselves are navigating so many different things and dealing with multiple complexities sometimes. So I think for us to understand and to hear that and to be available to be able to connect. So every day is a mix of all of this.
Manjari, share with us a story that makes you feel, despite all the stresses, strains, craziness, that the whole thing comes together and is worth going crazy about.
It's hard to think of one because different people impact you in different ways and over time. And since I'm sort of in the middle of many, multiple things, it's just different, so many different things. So it's a really hard one, Niret. I mean, I think sometimes those moments have been when you just feel that a faculty has been able to share something which they really value and they feel so happy and proud about, and they're so kicked about what they did as a group and how the students just got into things, and there's that pleasure and that sense of wow is great. I think there's that sense of sometimes when students tell you that, oh, this is so great, I'm having such a wonderful time, I'm enjoying this, and then there's that moment of where I just feel like it's such a good feeling. And then there are also the times when somebody just shared something deeply personal and they trusted you to tell you that this is going on, and then you can see how you can sort of work things out as best as you can. So I don't know, there are too many of them.
So once I made the mistake of telling students they can come in a little later than what you all said it should be. And then
COVID times.
In COVID times, then I didn't realize how important was the screening and things. So I said you can come in at 9:30, 10. So then Manji was waiting there, and then you told the students, what the hell? Niret told us we could. Well, Niret can't tell you this. So that is one of my examples. But Manjari, thank you so much for dropping in. Enjoyed everything.